Welcome back to another episode of Finn vs. History. I'm here with Horatio Gould.
Yay.
And today we're talking about Northern Ireland.
Yes.
The Troubles.
Right.
And I'd like to start this by saying that I do still want to sell tickets in Belfast.
Right. I'm not doing that on the tour.
Aren't you? You're fine.
I'm fine. So,
yeah.
unless they have a short memory, which actually they famously don't.
No, I think famously they have a very long memory. I think that is the problem. It's also probably the closest thing to a live issue we've dealt with.
Yeah.
Will it ever feel like it's not live to us? Because that's what I love about...
in our lifetimes?
Yeah. What I love about this... I mean, firstly, I've got to say that I'm coming in hot because it's one of my favourite... top 10 history for me, Troubles.
Yeah. For what reason?
Right. It's...
So, what places is why this is a good topic.
Okay, so top 10, obviously, Nazis, Hitler, World War II, Holocaust.
9/11.
9/11, Blair, Iraq... Slobodan Milosevic, disintegration of Yugoslavia.
We get it, you're straight.
I'm a straight man. Rooks Drift, Anglo-Zulu, Scramble for Africa, big yes.
The trouble, escapism.
The Troubles is so 9/11, what, 3,000 people died?
Well, I imagine your Scramble for Africa is similar to, I don't know, you're in a long-term marriage and you remember that one crazy one-night stand you had in your youth. That it's sort of like an escapism, right?
It's a feral, with six guys, a German, a French, an Austrian, and we all have a very big meeting about...
You were young, you had no responsibilities, you know.
Yeah, that's Scramble for Africa. Those are the days.
That's the peak of the British Empire, all that sort of stuff.
Oh, the Raj as well. The Raj is top 10. Anyway, the Troubles. So 3,000 people die in 9/11, I think. Charlie, can you just confirm how many people die in 9/11?
I think around that.
It's around 3,000.
I think you ballparked it.
What's the death toll of the Troubles? I think it's about 3,500. So it's 9/11 over 30 years.
Right, so that's okay.
3,600.
Okay.
It's like Test cricket. 9/11. It's slow. It's drawn out. There are periods of intense frenzy. Yeah. The whole thing is fucking chaos. Yeah. What I love about the Troubles...
Then it slows down.
It slows down. You think, oh, this is a bit boring.
Yeah, and then it heats up.
And then just wait. Yeah. The fast bowler's coming back on. McGuinness
Bobby Sands comes...
New bowler from the pavilion end, Martin McGuinness. Fuck! McGuinness has entered.
Bobby Sands in the crease. What's this? What's he doing? He's smearing his shit.
He's shitting on the crease. That's not cricket. He's shitting on the crease.
I've never seen anything like this in my life.
He's smearing his shit on the stumps. That's got to be right. It's basically, there's also the accent.
Right, so 9/11 would be, I guess 2020, but it's more...
It's T20. It's 100. It's like
it's a vine.
Too much happens too quickly. It's a vine. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. This is a Russian novel.
Yes.
This is... There's like super narratives.
Slowly unraveling.
It's boring for lots of it. The accents is close to the Nazis for me in that, like, you know, Hagen, Laden, Darden. Like it gets there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. As far as villains go, the tough Northern Irish accent is up there.
Yeah, terrifying.
Yeah, terrifying.
Yeah.
If you're getting tortured, the gay German and the really straight Northern Irish guy are the two most terrifying guys to be torturing you, right?
Yeah, because you know you're going to be fucked by both.
Because the German one, it's like, I will slowly peel your skin off while you watch. You know, that's terrifying. But the gay, I'm going to get a hammer and smash in your kneecaps.
But it could be saying anything. You think you're going to be tortured. Do you want a coffee? I'll make you a black coffee now. Look at me again and I'll make you a coffee. The accent's phenomenal.
It's brilliant. I love the Northern Irish accent.
The uniforms. It's also, I love how, as two British men, two Protestant British men, we are, you know, the default, as we've said. We're the default,
factory settings, reset, default.
First thing on The Sims, that's us. As you said before, I love how it's impossible to talk about this objectively, no matter how objective we think we're being.
Oh, really?
Because you could say something like...
As opposed to how objective we normally are.
We're very objective on the show. This show is a study in objectivity. But the whole thing is a mess. Like, if you go on the Wikipedia article for the Troubles... Right. We're often on Wikipedia articles for military history. The belligerents will make even the least ADHD person overstimulated.
Really?
There are so many acronyms, belligerents, different... So ultimately, as Catholic, even that's fun to say. Belligerent, even that's fun to say.
Belligerent.
Yeah,
what I love about the Northern Irish accent is you enjoy every syllable.
Every syllable.
They're sitting there, they're sitting down, they're having a long lunch at
Never
every
a
syllable.
Syllable wasted with the Northern Irish. They're hitting everything.
Belligerent.
So it's, but even if you were to say this is like Britain's, or you'd say even Britain, you're leaving out Northern Ireland. So if you said this is the UK's Vietnam, the Troubles, even by saying that, you are then implying that Northern Ireland's not in the UK, which would piss off one side. So there's just the linguistics of this are so fucked.
And that's what you love.
That's what I love. I love just like, listen, we're going to
You love trampling over things.
This is going to be an absolute mess. It's a crapshoot. Yeah, it's, all the different, you've got
even Northern Ireland, that's political.
Even saying Northern Ireland.
The north of Ireland for Catholics.
Well, it's like Derry brackets Londonderry. Yeah. Everything is trans. Everything's non-binary. Everything's using they, them pronouns.
I call it Englandderry just to really hammer it home. Yeah.
That's that Englandderry, isn't it? British dairy. Like everything is so charged. The language of it. You're constantly having to... it's like someone with 20 pronouns. Yeah. And you're like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, because what are you identifying as? Well, when it comes to this, I identify as that. It's very like, Ziza.
Before 11, I'm they, them. But between the hours of 11 and 3, I'm Ziza. People who use Z pronouns, I'm like, come on.
Yes.
Like, they, all right. Yeah. But when you get to Z and like X and stuff, it's like...
I guess
why don't you use your name? That's quite individual.
What it feels like with the Troubles is because it is, and you go to Belfast, it feels like it could be a city in the Midlands, like aesthetically, right?
Yeah.
So it feels very British aesthetically. So when you hear about this, because it's removed, it does feel like a dystopian fantasy novel about British societal collapse.
Yeah.
How there's like Children of Men, where it's like part of what makes it a thrilling dystopia is because it's familiar but strange.
Yes,
right?
It's eerie.
Houses I know look like that, but what's he do? What the fuck is?
Yeah, but what I love
about... There was a civil war in our parents' lifetimes in our country.
My aunt's from Belfast, so she lived through a lot of the 70s.
Oh, really?
Belfast, just like
Protestant?
Don't know actually, because that's the amazing thing. I imagine she would be. She lives over here, but that's the amazing thing is that it's like it is the reconciliation after it. Mostly is kind of amazing, given that it was essentially a score draw.
Yeah,
sort of.
Yeah, is it partly why maybe is it an underrated topic? Certainly globally, but because obviously Israel, Palestine, that's the big boy when it comes to this sort of thing.
Asymmetric warfare.
Yeah, and everyone's kind of a lot of people have interest in that, but the Troubles, I don't know how much people care about it outside of the UK. It doesn't. Does it cross?
Yeah, well, Americans famously always get like, go to Dublin, go. It's brilliant to be in the UK.
Yes,
all that stuff.
Okay, some Americans for sure, but once again, it's like cricket. It's hard to explain, and it's not for you.
No, it's not for you.
Yeah, and it's fine that you don't get it. I'd find it boring too.
Yeah, it's 30 years and it's a draw. It's Test cricket. All right, it's 5 days, no one wins, but it's just something that happened while we're alive. Right, that's the point.
Yeah.
So, but what we're going to do in this episode, because this is a massive topic, and we're
burning through things pretty fast.
The first time I thought, I don't think we can do this in a week. Chairman Mao, we'll whack that out in a week. Done. Yeah. So what we're going to do is in this episode we're going to explain the context of the conflict, try and get us up to about 1969, which is seen as the official beginning of the quote, the Troubles. Yep. In our next episode, friend of the show, the other part of the incel holy trinity, Vittorio Angeloni, will be with us. He's from Belfast, so it'd be good to have a British perspective on this. You'll hate that, but we're going to do 1972.
Yeah,
we'll see how we get. We'll see how we do. But it's going to be an ongoing series.
Yes,
ideally the same length as the actual Troubles.
Who called it the Troubles?
I don't know actually. Yeah. Can we find that out, Charlie? Who first called it the Troubles?
Yeah, I don't know. The Troubles feels
because the English Civil War, people at the time called them the Troubles. The people from Gloucester digging up turnips.
Oh yeah,
they called it the Troubles. They didn't call it the Civil War because they didn't understand it as a civil war.
Oh, so anything that bad happens to Irish people, they called the Troubles. Right.
No, but this is English people called the Civil War the Troubles,
right?
Because they didn't know what was going on. Merlin,
it does have that great English understatement, the Troubles. Do you know what I mean?
It was called the Troubles pretty much as soon as it started.
Because the Troubles, I'm thinking like tummy troubles. Do you know what I mean? That's when.
Well, that's the other thing is it's a brutal sectarian conflict, and it's just calling it the oopsies, basically. The whoopsie daisies, the no-nos. Oh no, another bomb. Whoopsie daisy.
No. Bit of trouble here.
Yeah, that's totally it. Well, it's the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, so it's a British guy. Right. It's a Westminster politician going, well, there's a bit of a pickle over there. they got a dicky tummy across the ocean or something. There's lots of bombs going off. So, bit of context. Island of Ireland as a whole is famously not British.
Yes.
Great Britain. Hang on, there's the UK, which includes Northern Ireland.
Yes.
At time of record.
Yeah.
And do you see what I mean? Just constantly trying to back yourself into every corner. Because there's about 7 audiences you're playing to when you talk about this topic.
Yeah.
And all of them sound like shopping channels. UVF, UDA, IRA, they're all shopping channels.
IVF.
QVC. Yeah. It's like, you know how people go on about, there's too many letters in the LGBT thing?
Yeah.
That's just Northern Ireland and the Troubles. It's like there's so many acronyms, there's so many letters, all of them hate each other.
Yeah.
Anyway, so famously, Britain and Ireland are different countries. Then let's go right back to
it all starts kicking off around the Tudors, right?
Henry VIII.
Yeah.
Big fat fucker.
But we don't learn about Ireland through the Tudors.
No.
It doesn't seem to come into the English imagination that we were doing shit then there. Ireland remembers.
Famously, they remember everything.
Britain forgets.
Yes. Britain needs to forget to carry on, but Ireland remembers everything. It's like a marriage where like a guy does something, like forgets to clean a cup up.
Yeah.
And the woman's going to remember that and bring it up in an argument 30 years later.
Do you let anything go?
Yeah. Yeah.
Surely you can.
He didn't wash that mug up 30 years ago. I mean, I'm not comparing, Bloody Sunday to a cup not being washed up.
I mean, what it actually is a bit like Russia-Ukraine. If we do a more direct parallel,
go on.
Like it's our Ukraine, isn't it? Like a smaller country with a slightly different ethnicity, arguably, to a bigger country that we sort of over 500, 600 years have sort of oppressed at different points.
But then there's a significant population in Ukraine, in this analogy, that want to be Russian.
Yes, there is.
Is there?
Yeah, in the Donbass region.
Right.
There's lots of Russian speakers. There's Ukrainian, there's Russian.
Yeah.
They tried to, Stalin tried to destroy the Ukrainian identity with a famine.
Bringing up Stalin?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And try to get rid of the Ukrainian identity with the Ukrainian language and make them all Russian speakers.
Right, yeah.
And there's been at many different points things like that throughout its history.
Okay.
And it's just flaring up again.
Yeah.
Flaring up.
This isn't flaring up at the moment.
No.
I don't think.
No, but
we'll see.
They're going through their troubles.
Yeah. The troubles.
The very trouble.
The bubbles. So, Henry VIII, big fat, greedy fucker.
Yeah.
He's
so greedy.
He wants 8 wives.
And Ireland.
He wants to fuck Ireland.
Now, I don't actually know this, but it feels like, so a big thing with Henry VIII is that he got blue-balled because it was kind of a period of relative like peace for England, and all of his heroes, all the people he learnt about, like Henry V, had gone to France and been absolute alpha chads. Right? And it feels like Henry VIII wanted that more than anything, and then ended up just being like a guy who wore nice clothes and ate loads of food and had fucked loads of women. But he wanted to be a military hero. But there was no reason to invade France in the small period he's on the throne.
Right.
So do you think part of it is him getting his rocks off with, taking his shit out on the little guy because he, feels
well,
like
doesn't feel like he can punch the big boy.
To be honest, it's like going home and hitting your wife because you're getting shouted at by your boss at work.
Right, I see. Or your football team loses, so you go home. Yeah, exactly. So he declares himself king of Ireland in 1541. There's then the 9 Years' War, which is
we never learn about this for sure.
No, Gaelic Irish lords. And
Hugh O'Neill.
That's Hugh O'Neill.
Who'd started the O'Neill's bar chain?
Yes, he started O'Neill's bar chain. So he's mainly profiteering off Chinese tourists in Leicester Square currently. But he stops that to fight the English in the 16th century. The English win that, and then a lot of stuff happens with James I. This is his sort of 3rd or 4th appearance on this podcast.
Yeah.
The famously gay, in the words of Dan Snow,
gay,
not mine.
Anti-tobacco, astrologist witch head.
Yeah. Anti-tobacco.
That was his big. We talked about this.
Yeah,
he was one of the first people to come out against tobacco. He wrote a long treatise about why it's bad for your health.
And he was gay.
About
So he was very,
years
very progressive man.
In some ways.
He
was burning witches.
He was also burning women at the stake. Well, again,
we'll come
if that comes around again, then it's progressive.
The pendulum's swinging.
The pendulum's always swinging.
We've got Me Too. Now it's swinging back to burning women.
Burning women. Yeah, I guess those are the two ends, aren't they? Of the women pendulum. There's the hashtag Me Too. Fire whoever you want because they look to you weird. To bracket to, I'm going to set you on fire for making me horny. That's the experience of women throughout history. Yeah. So James I begins the plantation. Well, actually, he begins the plantation of Ulster. I believe plantations as a concept begin earlier, and they also happen all over Ireland.
In Virginia, but that's
the strategy. So
plantations
this is the
in
beginning,
New World, right?
Beginning of the kind of is the New World around in the 16th
Yes,
century?
it's just because Columbus is 1495 or 92,
1492,
right?
Yeah,
and it's kind of this is 1609, so this is the Age of Discovery is well underway, right?
So
But it's early days.
Queen Mary I begins plantations in 1550s in Ireland.
Now, when I think plantation, you obviously think brutal, but you do think tropical. Or the deep south. There's a level of exoticism to a plantation in my mind. Mm-hmm. Big white house, kind of those weeping willows.
White being the sailing word.
Big white house.
Yes, yeah. For the white man.
But there's a level of exoticism there. Plantations in Ulster, I do not feel give. There's not as much kind of like
hard work, I think.
Colourful imagery.
Not to say that the plantations in Barbados wasn't hard work.
It was a DOS
for the slaves. But I guess the slaves were at least in a nice climate.
When you clock off, which is about an hour a week,
maybe an hour a week. You can enjoy the sunset.
I saw a motivational TikTok, genuine, from one of the psychopaths, who brought up the slaves worked 18 hours a day, so can you.
Wow.
Right, so it was kind of using the productivity of slavery to try and make that like a hustle grind set sort of inspirational thing.
But that is the next stage of that movement, isn't it?
It is.
It's people like,
technically, if you're worked to death, you still work loads. So if you could choose to do that and beat the competition, right?
Free your mind and work like a slave.
Stop being a sheeple and become a slave
yourself
by your own.
Yeah. Hand yourself in to a master who will work you to death. Yeah, that's the closing of that circle, that horseshoe. So, but yeah, you're right. I mean, Ulster plantations. Can you maybe get a bit about what life was like on Ulster plantation? Because
rubbish.
I mean, it sounds grim. But there were plantations all over Ireland,
right.
and they all pretty much
What are they
failed.
plantation?
I don't actually know. I want to say potatoes. That may be insensitive.
That might be insensitive.
But also...
All right, what's the woke answer? Bananas.
Yeah,
maybe.
No, sure. In Northern Ireland, they were planting bananas. All those Irish bananas we eat. The big banana famine. We've run out of bananas. There's no bananas anymore. What were we planting specifically? I think actually it was anything. I think plantation is code for
miscellaneous
farming. No, it's
pineapples.
The point is, it's about
oats. The main crops are grown were oats
Irish
and
porridge.
livestock raised with cattle and sheep.
Well, do you know what it is actually? Right. Is that so? The Irish at this point are mainly farming cattle. Famously, Irish beef still today.
Brilliant.
One of the best beefs.
They got Irish. They do 4 or 5 things unbelievably well. Anything dairy related. So cream, butter. Milk, butter. I mean, I
actually think
Guinness,
that's
Baileys.
I think that's what Henry VIII is going. Is the butter? He's a butter boy. Look at him. He's a big butter boy. He goes, this butter shit.
What, butter tourism? Do you think he's doing?
Yeah.
He's a butter tourist, like a sex tourist.
He's going to Ireland and licking. He sees their butter. And he's like, we've got to get that in this country. Yeah. So I think I think in his head he's a butter king.
Yes, Henry VIII. That was very good producing from you. That's the quickest you've been on.
Henry VIII ate butter, often for breakfast with eggs. Butter was a common ingredient in Tudor dishes. I think he also ate conger eel and porpoise. I mean, the guy.
You run out of things to do when you're the king.
But also,
because he's not allowed to invade France, so he's like, I guess I'll try a fucking.
What's that?
Porpoise.
I'll eat that then. Can I eat? Is that a fucky thing or an eaty thing? That's how he divided everything. He divided everything to fucky things and eaty things. Can I eat that? All right, I'm going to fuck it then. So he ate butter. He loves butter. Yeah. He goes to Ireland because the butter is
the Mecca of butter.
Godly, the Mecca of butter. Yeah. Have you seen the clip of the 2 Irish women? There's an Irish podcast and they're talking about butter, and one of them is maybe like a vegan or lactose intolerant, and the way the other 2 are judging her is so phenomenal. She's like, oh no, I don't really do that. And they're like, what? They're like, oh my God, you're killing yourself. Live a little. I'm getting 8 pats of Kerrygold. And they're like, but it's almost like they're talking about smoothies, but they're talking about butter.
Is butter back in? Because there was maybe a period where
butter never left me.
It never left me, but I mean in the general trend.
I think lard's coming back.
I think it should come back, as we talked about. We're kind of like, we're quite RFK Jr. when it comes to this.
I'm pro-lard.
It's the seed oils that are killing people.
Seed
it's
oils,
fine if you use, lard butter. That's how we're all healthy because we grew up eating lard butter.
Butters, Irish.
No, but there was a trend, I feel, when I was growing up where butter's cholesterol going to kill you.
Yeah.
And now it's eating raw beef and fats are good for you, right?
Yeah,
We're now going to the Alpha Chads.
Liver King.
We've had woke dietary things where it's mung beans and all that sort of stuff.
Rabbit food.
And now we're pretending that raw beef and butter is the healthiest way to eat for a little bit.
Do you know what? The woke war on food has been decisively lost.
Yes.
Because the
Cold War on food. The Berlin Wall has fallen down.
The Berlin Wall of tofu is crumbled. Because veganism has actually peaked.
Yes,
now there's an article about that every year in the Times because that's what they want to hear, their readers. But it has peaked.
In the Telegraph, they haven't even heard of veganism yet.
No, they're like, what? Huh? Is that just people who eat cheese? But there is actually the supermarket shelves. They're now filling They had whenever the peak was, they had shelves full of all the vegan replacement products. And now it's a money pit, so they're just getting rid of them and putting beef back in.
It's basically the long-term effects of people who've been doing veganism for a while. There's some health effects when you just eat.
Yeah.
And also, if I was vegan, the stuff I'd end up eating would just be worse for me because I'd just be eating chips and pizza.
Because everyone then goes like,
pasta.
You're not doing it properly. It's like, because doing it properly is lame. It's so and gross. Doing it properly is eating fucking the hair that comes off beans and shit.
Yeah, I went for a New Year's meal once at Vegans. It was like a spread. There was so much food.
Yeah.
And everything was horrendous.
Everything was beige.
It was bean loaf.
Yeah. Bean loaf?
Yeah. And then it was like, oh, do you want another slice of bean loaf? Lovely people, but my God, it made me realise.
The words bean and loaf should not go together. Unless it's loaf bean, which is actually a slur.
I'm such a meat eater.
Yeah,
what you said?
Loaf bean is a slur. For a vegan, I think.
I'm such a meat eater, and it's probably a bit of a problem where I have to have meat. Basically, 2 out of 3 meals a day I have to have.
But I'd agree with that. I do the odd meat-free Monday, meatfreemonday.com.
Part of me, so a lot of people talk about this. I don't see any point.
What about fish?
Meat or fish.
Yeah.
So I'm mainline, it has to, but otherwise. So I was at this vegan thing, and I was like, I haven't had a meal without meat. A dinner without meat for like 4 months, so I was getting the shakes. Eating bean loaf. Yeah. The pudding was made. I think cake made with vegan mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise and a cake.
Vegan mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise and a cake.
Yeah, because they can't use butter, so they're just fucking chucking vegan mayonnaise.
No.
But mayonnaise is eggs. So what's a vegan egg?
Tofu, flaxseed meal, chia seeds, aquafaba, which is the liquid from chickpeas. Sorry, so that little cummy stuff that chickpeas come in.
Yeah.
You're making an egg out of that.
Yeah. It's not right. But do you not feel that the
with
swing back...
added flavouring like black salt to mimic the eggy taste?
So Ireland's having a real comeback culturally. They're arguably almost like South Korea in the sense that...
Yeah, they're soft power.
There's soft power, there's film, Paul Mescal, all these, getting lots of stuff. But it's also coming in as now all the kind of bro podcasts are talking about the health foods now is raw beef, butter, eggs.
Yeah.
It feels like... There's an Irish hands going in that.
They're a cholesterol economy, Ireland.
So they're really, I don't know, it feels like an Irishman has set this all up where we're now pretending that eat steak and eggs for every meal is the healthiest way to...
So Ireland is essentially, before, listen, the English are involved in Ireland from the 12th century, but before this point, the Irish are mainly doing beef and butter, and then... when the English come in with the plantations, they say that beef and butter, they're like the woke guys. Yeah. They're like, oh, that's not very sophisticated. The most sophisticated thing to do is grow crops. Is because we're there at this point. This is like the Puritans with the fringe,
no fun,
the fringe blue hairs. Like you eating beef, are you?
Yeah.
So they're like plants and mung beans and shit. And that's so I think the plantations are for farming crap rabbit food.
Oh yeah, so it's woke food.
They set up woke food plantations all over Ireland, but most of them fail. And it's about they're then making Scots mainly in Ulster landlords and dispossessing the Irish people of their land.
Scots have a big part in this. I don't want that to be forgotten.
The plantation of Ulster, which becomes the most successful plantation.
Right.
Ulster, for those who don't know, is the county in the north.
And it's a very short distance between Ulster and Scotland, so I imagine the route you can get people over.
Well, I think that must be the accent, right? That must be the Northern Irish accent. Must be because it comes from Scotland.
Yeah,
it comes from Scotland, and then it goes down to Northern Ireland. It's Brendan Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
Brendan Rodgers is the journey. Is the journey between Scotland and Northern Irish.
Yeah.
Right. So that plantation of Ulster begins under James I, 1609, and he basically sends Scots Presbyterians, who, as we know, the hardest fuckers on this earth, what I'm to send, granite, diamond cut fuckers, no one's fucking with them.
Yeah.
He sends them over to Ulster to make this new breed of super Scot, the Northern Irish.
Because arguably, if you're trying to find someone tougher than Presbyterian Scots, you go fucking Protestant Northern Irish.
Yeah. And both of those are the only people I would trust in a war against white South Africans.
Yeah, because that's what
who are Dutch Protestants. Essentially, the
Protestant settler colonialist white ones are some of the fucking
fuckers. Yeah. Apart from Australia.
Yeah.
Because they're prisoners.
Yes. Yeah.
So they broke the law.
Yeah.
These guys make the law.
Yeah. And then Canada and New Zealand have been cucked out.
Cucked. Yeah. They're watching the whole world get fucked from their backyards. They're not doing anything. So, basically, the plantations begin in 1609, bussing hard-nosed Scots fuckers over to Ulster. The Ulster plantation is the only red-nosed, red-faced... Put that drink down. The whole Presbyterian thing is that like drinking's a sin, right?
Yes.
And they're going into Ireland, which is drinking water is lame.
Yes, yeah.
So it's like a real
sin.
Culture clash.
Yeah.
I mean, culture clash is one way to describe the Troubles.
The skew with.
So there's obviously loads of rebellions from this point onwards, but essentially Northern Ireland is kind of, you could say it's inevitable when the success of that plantation happens.
Right.
So there's a rebellion against the Protestants in 16...
it's like a successful, Star Wars was a hit, they're going to make another one.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're going to make it a lot of them, which is the Troubles. Yeah.
It was a hit. What are you wanting to do?
Yeah. So
of course we're going to do another one.
Yeah, and then we're going to leave it alone for a bit, and then we're going to make a bunch more.
Yeah, of course.
It's test cricket. It's test cricket of sci-fi. It's Star Wars. So there's a rebellion in 1641, which leads to Protestants massacring the Catholics as reprisals.
Well, so the Irish Catholics massacred the Protestants and then the reprisal. Right?
Yeah. It's tit for tat. The whole history of Ireland, Northern Ireland Troubles is tiki-taka.
Right, is Xavi Iniesta...
I kill you, you kill me. I kill you, you kill me.
Triangles, little triangle passes.
Shrinking the pitch, high lines.
Tit for tacker.
Tit for tacker. There's then the William of Orange. Now
he's a big deal.
He's a really big deal. To
these guys.
I don't really know him. We'll do.
He seems to be the most Protestant man ever.
I think orange is the most Protestant colour you can be.
Yes,
right? Is that because you've gone orange from shouting?
I think so. Yeah.
I put that down now. That's why.
It's the jaundice.
So he's the most orange person ever. He defeats.
So this is the Glorious Revolution, right?
In England, yeah.
You know about that.
So this is
where
they get a Dutch guy over, right?
Basically, one of the English king once again is getting too much fun. Everyone thinks he's Catholic. Basically, thinks he's a homosexual, probably.
Yeah.
And then they basically ship in a Dutch king who's married to. Who technically next in line to the throne, the Queen.
Yeah.
Who would be the Queen? So his wife, Mary, and get them in together. And he comes with loads of troops, but there's no one stands up for him. So it's like a glorious revolution because no one dies. He just walks straight.
Why it's glorious?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So people say that this country hasn't been conquered since 1066, but a Dutchman did just walk in and become king.
We left the door unlocked for the Dutch. Yeah. So he comes in, solidifying the Protestant dominance in Ulster and Ireland.
I guess William of Orange is like final nail in the coffin. Protestantism is dominant. His here to stay.
There's but it's still a minority on the island.
Yeah,
because you're talking about the descendants of like tens of thousands of Scottish settlers.
Yes.
So in a country of like 5 million, there's like 1 million Prots. Right. For the next couple hundred years, the Catholics are sort of discriminated against in Ireland. Penal laws, they can't hold political office.
I mean, it's apartheid, right?
It's apartheid. Yeah. It's white on white
apartheid, which is like
which is not win-win. You would think that as white people, that would be like, well, great, fine, apartheid, fine. Yeah. But it's Prot's apartheid.
Yes.
It's Catholic apartheid.
Which is, Irish Catholics maybe some of the biggest fumblers of white privilege in in human history.
Definitely, and I think
they're
that's
the whitest people, and they managed to fumble all of it until about 30 years ago.
Well, that's what's amazing about like you've got British straight white man is in the popular imagination is demonized as the embodiment of privilege, and yet you've got the whitest people, the Irish, are seen as somehow charming, poetic, like slayers of privilege. They're seen as the dispossessed.
They're like seen as Garzans, basically.
Yeah, in the cultural capital.
But to be fair, Ireland's have a real tough time, but they're really enjoying themselves now, right?
Oh yeah, they're
having a great time because now they have all the white privilege, right? They're not getting stopped by police in America, whatever privilege you get. The accent's cool. They're getting laid very easily.
Mezcal's like the sex symbol.
They're having all that, and then none of the guilt.
No guilt.
Not an ounce.
No guilt.
Not an ounce for anything.
No.
Just because they were drunk the whole time when we were doing all that stuff, they now got away with any guilt.
I know.
And they've woken up and they've gone, oh, this is brilliant.
And we're there going, well, excuse me, what?
And now they're getting richer than us as well.
Yeah, we looked after you for 500 years and now we're the bad ones, are we? Is that what's happening?
We did look after them, yeah. Famously.
Well, this is where the looking after really starts to begin, is the sort of 19th century. There's an act of union.
Tough love.
Yes, yeah. There's an act of it's adopting a child who doesn't want to be adopted. It's Madonna taking an African kid out of a village and then calling him Blaine or whatever.
It's kind of Woody Allen.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Actually, it's Woody Allen fucking his 19-year-old adopted daughter. Allegedly or definitely, I get confused with those two words. Definitely, just for the legal, definitely.
Just for the legal, definitely.
Just for any lawyers watching, I meant definitely. Sorry, allegedly, I get confused.
We should do an episode of Woody Allen, actually.
Oh, we definitely should do an episode. Woody Allen. So the Act of Union in 1801 creates the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. You then have, and listen, all this stuff we could do whole episodes about.
Yeah, and if you're not careful, we will.
Yes, if you keep subscribing, we will end up doing that.
If you don't start behaving yourself, we're going to do a whole episode on the 1801 Act of Union.
Yeah. So then, listen, we'll fast forward the 19th century. Yeah. Big famine, boo-boo, you got us, sorry.
We'll do a famine episode.
We'll do a famine episode. We'll do a famine series, of course. Yeah. I'm just trying to get to the
maybe we do a famine episode, we get Mike Rice, but we hog tie him.
I think he should be in rags.
But then we put so he can't speak. So he's just there and we discuss the famine.
Because there's a potato in his mouth. Hog time with a potato and string him up and talk about the famine.
No, I think the optics would be quite bad at that, actually.
Do you think?
Yeah.
People watching going, is this ironic or... I don't know what irony is. If this is ironic, this just feels mean. So the famine's the 1840s. Yeah. There's then a concerted effort to introduce home rule, which is self-government. Yeah. So it's not even about being independent, it's just self-governing because Britain has taken complete political control of Ireland.
This is a big deal. Even for Brits, actually, the home rule question.
Yes.
Much bigger.
This goes on for 50 years, basically.
And the World War I actually blows us out the water. But this was kind of the crisis of the early 1900s in Britain. Home rule it divided loads of politicians. It was a big deal that people actually cared about in this country.
It was the undoing of prime ministers in the way that Brexit was.
Yes. But just because World War I was such a big deal, the home rule thing kind of gets a bit dwarfed.
They signed home rule, as in this is going to happen during the war. But then they went, okay, let's delay it again because the war's going on.
Right.
And then the fucking Germans sent weapons to the Irish Republicans. Yes. So now we're getting into some of the terminology that gets used in the Troubles. So the IRA, the Irish Republican
a big part of the home rule thing was trying to get weapons onto Ireland. Right, because they weren't making
Ireland are always trying to get weapons in because if they don't do that, they've just got cows and butter. So the reason that it's so easy to dominate from the English is that we've got guns and they've got packs of butter. So they are chucking butter at us, and we've got muskets for March of 500 years. Get back, would you? Have some more butter. And then they're trying to push cows down hills into British forces. Right. Anyway, home rule is essentially starting to get introduced, but
are you saying that before the Easter Rising, if they hadn't risen, they would have got self-government naturally.
No, because there's Catholic emancipation. There's Wolf. What's his name? The Tans. There's all this. There's the history.
All your black and tans.
No, it's Wolf. What's his name, Charlie? There's a guy called 19th century Irish Fenian. There's the Fenian Rising. There's a huge history of Irish republicanism in the Victorian age. But I'm just saying that's not this episode. We're trying to get to the Troubles, right? So the point is that in the late 19th century. Home rule is kind of gathering momentum.
Yes.
But the Ulster plantation, the Presbyterian hard-nosed white South Africans running apartheid in the north, they're like, fuck home rule. Don't want to give anything. We want the entire island to
as they consistently do around the world.
Unified. Fuck home. Fuck that. They want to be.
There's 15 of us. There's 2 million of them, but
we'll fucking take them.
We'll.
They're drunk, we're not. Let's fucking go, right? Yeah. So they want to be unified totally with Britain. And there's this guy who's termed the father of Northern Ireland. There's a guy called Edward Carson,
right?
Who is at this point, he's called Anglo-Irish because that's what you're called if you...
And like if you look at like the Oscar Wilde story...
Yeah. This is what I was going to bring up.
Yes.
So... Edward Carson is an Anglo-Irishman, which means that
they learn at Trinity College Dublin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
which doesn't let Catholics in at this point.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
So Edward Carson is a lawyer. He's Anglo-Irish, which means he's of Irish descent but living in England. He's a hotshot lawyer.
So he's doing shows about being mixed race at the Edinburgh Fringe.
Yeah, he's winning awards. Talking about Irish prejudice. So he is called the father of Northern Ireland because he's daddy. He holds loads of cabinet roles in Westminster as well by the end of his life.
Well, when you're looking at white guys in this period on Wikipedia, they have lots of letters by their names because it's the colonial era.
Yeah.
Wikipedia of any white guy.
So he's PC, ironically, I bet he's
Right Honourable the Lord, PC Island, Casey.
So PC cancels it out, so he's very racist. Big fan of a racial joke. PC brackets Ireland, Casey, because he was Attorney General for a bit. Yeah. Anyway, so this guy essentially, I think, founds, or at least is one of the first leaders of the Ulster Unionist Party, the UUP, which...
turns into the DUP.
Maybe.
Sort of, right.
I think so. But it could also just carry on because there's a real People's Front of Judea thing with all this stuff.
Right, yeah.
So, anyway, so he's a hotshot lawyer and his biggest case is in Dublin. He takes Oscar Wilde to court for being gay, which is a crime.
He represents the guy.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is an episode in itself because that's a hilarious story.
It's a very funny story where Oscar Wilde is like... he's the belle of the ball. He's the belle of the ball. Everyone loves him. He's Stephen Fry.
Yeah,
everyone loves him.
Yeah.
And everyone's
he's
like,
a national treasure.
I
know it's illegal to be gay, but he's so cute.
He's a bit Michael Jackson. Like the art is so good.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, And
the importance of being earnest, maybe his biggest play was opening at the time of
Thriller.
Yeah.
So
and that's opening at the time of him getting
the trial.
Literally opens at that time.
So Edward Carson is the lawyer, and Wilde's making the call.
And there's the most furious British whiskery guy is the guy trying to sue Oscar Wilde for fucking his son,
something like that. Yeah,
that's in his limit. He's just like, you can't fuck my. This is. I will sue you. You can't fuck my son.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that's how homophobic this era is that if your son got fucked by someone else, you would sue the person who fucked him.
Yeah, and he's so witty that he runs rings around him, but he's just like, why harder?
Well, he does run rings around him, but Carson eventually flusters him because he says, did you fuck this rent boy? Yeah. And Wilde goes, no, because he was so ugly. I pitied him. I wouldn't. And then Carson goes, so the only reason you didn't fuck him is because he was ugly, not because he's a boy. And Wilde goes, and like he gets him on the ropes. Right. And basically Wilde says, well, maybe I should think I'm trying to be funny. Chill out. It's a joke.
Yeah, it's a joke.
And basically
everyone's the Alex Jones defense.
Yeah.
It's a character.
Yeah. So Alex Jones is very close to RFK Jr.
He is actually.
I guess they're quite similar, maybe. But Carson, I think what then happens is that the Wilde trial, the Wilde is actually suing the other guy for libel. That's what this trial is. And then the libel case.
The gayest man in London is suing someone for libel for calling him gay.
Yes, which is a very gay thing to do. But these people don't back down.
He's obviously a good lawyer, but I feel I don't know anything about the law. but I feel I could have won that case.
Just drop your trousers.
Well, yeah,
Dick's out, no bonus.
Oscar Wilde's gay. Yeah, look at him.
Dick's out, no
bonus. You mean
bonus.
the guy with the cravat? That guy's gay.
Dick's out, no bonus. Okay, court's adjourned. He's got a boner.
And then he ends up wheeling out about 45 different people that Oscar Wilde's fucked.
Yes,
and they're all going,
exactly.
yeah, I fucked him. Yeah, we mean that guy? Yeah,
I fucked him. Yeah,
of course.
And we go, well, that means you're guilty as well, but that's a separate issue. We'll get to that. But then Wilde ends up then having another trial and goes to prison convicted of being gay. Yeah. And then I don't think he's ever really the same after that.
What?
Wilde.
When he finds out he's gay?
No, I think he knows he's gay. When everyone else does, and he goes to prison. Anyway, Carson... Yeah. Makes his name as a lawyer in the Wilde trial.
So it's like a sort of OJ.
Yeah, he's the Kardashian. He's Northern Ireland's. Was it Bob Kardashian? Is that his name? Robert Kardashian. David Trimmer in the drama.
Yeah.
He also, I think, founds the Ulster Volunteer Force, which is the loyalist, i.e. Protestant, i.e. unionist paramilitary force that goes on to do a lot of damage in the actual Troubles. But they're planning to do stuff against the British Crown because they don't want home rule, and
and it looks like that's where the tide's turning.
And that does kind of go in. I think it's 1916 Easter Rising in Dublin, which is led by the IRA.
But home rule, self-government, is home rule Ireland, or they just get to run their own country, but they're part of British Empire? No, they're
still part of the British Empire. They're still the Commonwealth.
Fine.
But they get a parliament in Ireland.
Kind of like Canada would be at this time. Yeah.
They're so not being independent, and that's the point.
Yeah,
it's that Britain's holding them like, no, and they're like, So, blah, 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 Easter Rising, again, that's an episode in itself. Irish War of Independence. This is where the IRA and Britain have a bit of a... So this is my point, is that Home Rule's been signed in, and they've got it, but the Irish want independence. They want to reform a republic. 1920, 1921, Northern Ireland becomes a separate entity within the UK with its own parliament, Stormont. That's Ulster. The county of Ulster then becomes... Right. So 6 counties in the north of Ireland...
I want them back.
...are then enshrined as Northern Ireland. And then the Irish Free State is enshrined in 21, which is still what my nan calls it because she's fucked. And then she also calls South Africa Orange Free State. Right. She's very old.
She probably calls Zimbabwe Rhodesia.
Rhodesia.
My granddad calls Kenya Kenya.
Kenya, yeah. That's the real sign. I remember Ivo saying his parents are holidaying in Kenya.
You
help yourself, brother. Help yourself. Kenya. So there's then Irish Civil War, blah, 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 blah. We get to the Second World War, which these guys famously sit out.
It's a confusing one because... Well, it's the Second World War.
Yes.
It's a confusing one because the British have been the bad guys forever, right?
Yeah.
And now they're finally the good guys. Yeah. And it's a bit confusing for the Irish.
But this is why the Irish, we know nothing about the Second World War. They just ignore it because we're the good guys for once. Yeah. So they're like, well, I don't know. And also the whole thing of
narratively it's confusing.
My enemy's enemy is my friend. They're like, well, you like Hitler, do you? You're on his side. Yeah? Think about that.
Well, because we worked out with Victoria that because we often make World War II references because we grew up with British dads, right? And so you can't escape World War II references. And he knew none of them, but then we realised... The thing you've got to remember
is that Vittorio also has a British dad because he's from Northern Ireland. That's the problem with this thing, is that even though Vittorio is a Catholic, and he probably... We will get into this when he comes here, but... Yeah, that's the whole minefield of it.
Speaking to Vittorio, their World War II is the Troubles. So in the way that British dads are obsessed with World War II, think if I was fighting World War II, I would have been a hero, D-Day, all of that stuff. Northern Irish dads, it's the Troubles. Yeah. It's making up that you did stuff in the Troubles that you didn't,
exactly. All that stuff. So we get into... blah, 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 whatever. We'll deal with it later. We get 1949, that's it. Republic of Ireland's officially leaves the Commonwealth.
So they're not in the Commonwealth Games after this?
No, which they're really gutted about. So when they were like, okay, if we go independent, do we not get the Commonwealth Games? And we were like, no. And they were like, please, can we work out some kind of deal?
Just something so we could please swim against Namibia.
The Commonwealth Games is so shit.
Yeah.
Like just
who's watching that?
Who's watching that?
Yeah. And it's the less powerful Britain gets, the more awkward it gets.
Yeah. Because why? What is it? It's Britain. It's the Falkland Islands. It's the Pacific Islands that still.
There's loads of countries
in the Commonwealth.
In the Commonwealth Games,
yeah, but
there's loads of them.
But is it the same people that are in the Commonwealth? Does it correlate to who's in the Commonwealth?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's people who will make a political statement and are not doing it.
Yeah,
but I'm pretty sure, like Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, Canada, Australia.
It's the Empire,
Africa, and there's loads of countries.
It's the Empire Games.
Yeah,
yeah.
But I don't know. It's too almost if there was less or more, it would be better. It's a weird number because it's either like the whole world do it.
Yeah,
but it's kind of like a quarter of the world doing a World Cup of competitions. It's weird.
Well, it's like Eurovision, but it's got Australia and Israel in it. You're like, what is this? Like, is there any integrity to this or not? I like the idea of someone watching Eurovision where there's a fucking like goth troll screaming into a microphone, but it's like, he's from Israel. This competition's a joke. This competition's a farce. Israel's not in Europe.
The collapse of Western civilization.
Australia in Eurovision. I'm cancelling my licence fee. So Ireland becomes a republic. There's then a border campaign where the IRA try and end British rule in Northern Ireland. This fails. At about 62, they give up. Right. At this point, the IRA is still the official IRA. Still they've not split into now. That's what I call.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's not the IRA. And all the utterly buttery, all that shit.
Diet IRA, Diet Cherry IRA.
Yeah, exactly. IRA 0, which is what they have now. So there's still one IRA at this point.
Yeah.
Right. Now, again, time is flying by, but we'll get to the 60s because that's where, essentially, in the 60s in Northern Ireland, which is the juicy thing here is that the Northern Ireland's majority Protestant.
Yes. Just.
So, but on the island of Ireland, the Protestants are a minority.
Yes.
So the whole dynamics is you have a majority. The Catholics in Northern Ireland are a minority within a minority.
Yes.
And then the Protestants are a minority within a majority. But everyone feels under siege, essentially.
Yes.
Because
it's a sticky one.
It's a sticky wicket. Martin McGuinness has come onto bowl and there's foot marks.
Yeah.
And there's also shit all over the stumps because Bobby Sands
was an earlier.
Bobby Sands was up to opening, which he should not be opening because he can't keep his bowels close. It's like when Lineker shat on the pitch. Right.
Yeah, Bobby Sands walked so Paula Radcliffe could run.
And Paula Radcliffe famously couldn't run because she was shitting herself. Yeah. Right. Who's your biggest inspiration, Paula? Probably Bobby Sands, actually. Because he just shat and cracked on with it.
Now, the thing is, if I ever shit on camera, shit on stage, if I'm ever caught shitting myself, I'm ever in a situation that Lineker and Radcliffe found themselves, you have to make it a protest. Right? Don't you? Because it's so embarrassing shitting yourself. The only way out of it... So I'd probably go like free Gaza.
Are you saying that Bobby Sands shat himself and then retroactively went, no,
out of embarrassment.
I'm a Republican. That was I meant that.
He was apolitical.
I meant that.
You got to.
Look, I'm putting on the walls.
Like, if you shat yourself, you're caught shitting yourself. Yeah. What are you then making up? It's a free hit, isn't it? You've already shat yourself. You might as well donate it to a cause of your choosing.
Yeah. Stop whaling in Japan. So hang on. Are you saying when someone if you shit yourself and then someone calls you out,
you should.
The first thing you say is your only opportunity to name a cause. You have to think of a cause, and that's your one out.
Yeah. It would be about how the post office scandal was dealt with by the British government. It was a dirty protest.
So did you shit yourself? The Horizon IT scandal is an absolute travesty.
And I will not wipe my arse until it is solved.
I will keep shitting myself until it's solved. So yeah, you have to.
And then it just keeps out Uyghur Muslims. I think they're being badly treated.
Yeah. And everyone's like, mate, you're running out of causes. You've done 3 poos.
Trousers.
You've done 3 poos in your pants, so you've not changed your trousers yet. So if you're leaving the house with a dicky tummy, you should also be armed. You should go on Twitter and see what everyone's complaining about. Arm yourself with a cause.
Stop whalers in Japan.
Stop the whalers in Japan. I did actually shit myself in as an adult in Edinburgh.
Right.
It was late night. I'd just been drinking with Tom Stade.
Right.
And,
okay. Well, say no more.
Exactly. He probably put some mad LSD in my drink or something. And I was crossing a road.
Yeah.
And as I was crossing the road, I farted and it was shit.
Right.
And I immediately just turned left and started walking to where my house was.
Right.
Because I think if you ever see someone move like a chess piece in that way, where they're walking and they immediately turn around, they've just
like
shot
a
themselves.
knight in chess.
They've just shot themselves. Yeah. Because
Is that
you
what
never,
the knight does in chess?
yeah, you never do that. You'd always like go round, but it was just a hard turn, like a sort of
the context has changed. The situation is very different. You know,
Yeah,
why are you walking that way?
I've got clean pants. I've got shit in my pants. You can see in the line of deviation on like a map. Clean pants, clean pants.
Circumstances are different. You're playing a different game.
If you have Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher looking at the footage of me walking, they go, you can see just where the shit is his pants, and he immediately.
It's sort of like holding your run.
He holds his run, and then he goes. You see the ball is played, the shit hits his pants, and that's when he covers run. So anyway, what the fuck were we talking about?
Sorry. I think we'd hit the 60s.
60s.
So there's growing discrimination against Catholics.
Yeah. So my point is that in Northern Ireland, the Protestants have all the positions of power. There's the RUC, which is the Royal Ulster Constabulary, which I think essentially
The ruck.
You have to be, I think it's 80% prot, but essentially no one's rejoining it if they're not prots. There's a bit of crossover with loyalist paramilitaries.
Yeah. Naughty boys.
They're all quite naughty boys, to be honest. This is the real story of the naughty boys.
They couldn't help keeping their hands out the cookie jar, these guys.
These are some wrong uns. There's some real wrong uns on all sides. So the RUC is essentially,
No, RUC!
I can't see anything! The RUC are, so the Catholics are essentially second-class citizens in Northern Ireland.
Apartheid.
It's apartheid. It's
but it's so apartheid that they're doing it against white people. That's how fucking apartheid it is.
Yeah. South Africa, look at this going, bloody hell.
Bloody hell, you're going for it.
Fuck
Fuck
really going for it. Yeah. I mean,
it's just against the blicks.
Yeah. There's because you reckon there was anyone in South Africa who was like, can we chuck some of the shit whites in there as well? Like my mate John's got no stories. Do you reckon he could?
Could you tick other white when it comes to ethnicity?
White other.
White other.
Other means shit. Just like a shit hang. Hey, Steve Biko. Could you take my mate John?
This the annoying whites.
He's got
Can we put them in there?
Yeah. Christ. And if you're annoying South Africans, then you must be really fucking annoying. Anyway, so the Catholics are the second-class citizens in Northern Ireland. They're like
don't slag them off.
There's housing issues, which, to play devil's advocate, there are also fucking loads of them because they don't wear condoms.
Well, that's why the Catholics are going to overtake Protestants pretty soon in Northern Ireland because of the birth rate.
Yeah, there's like a sort of birth rate panic because the Prots are having one kid because they're like, I've got to work, I have one child, replacement, I'm done.
And then it's like a sort of conga line of shagging that's going on.
And part of the reason that the Troubles is so entrenched and bad is that when any one person dies, they've got 20 brothers and sisters.
Well, like whack-a-mole.
Yes. So it's like, you killed my brother. And it's like, fucking hell, how many brothers does this guy have?
Yeah.
But it's because they're Catholics, so there's so many of them. So they're all related to the big families. Exactly. You only have to kill 3 people.
You killed my third cousin? Well, that's pushing it a bit,
who
lad.
Cares?
You're all third cousin. Come on.
Because we're Protestants. Like, I never see my third cousin. I couldn't name my third cousin. Who cares? Because the Catholics like their families, and they got massive families. You killed my fourth cousin twice removed. I'm going to kill you. It's like, mate, I couldn't. Christ, I didn't even speak to my aunt. So there's housing, there's gerrymandering as well.
That sounds like a bloke.
There's a guy called gerrymandering.
Gerrymandering sounds like a slur, or like he was out gerrymandering.
He was caught gerrymandering. Yeah, it's a bit like cottaging, isn't it? Well, it is cottaging.
It's like you're rogering Jerry.
Gerrymandering is cottaging, but when you move the borders slightly of the toilet stall.
What is actually gerrymandering? What is it?
It's where you fuck with election borders to make sure that you're going to win.
Oh, I see. Is that genuine what gerrymandering? I guess it gets used as a shorthand for other stuff when you're just fiddling around.
Well, you're saying that it's when you go nosh someone off in a service station, but you open 2 stalls of the toilet, so you move the wall slightly so that someone essentially has to put their cock through a hole.
Yeah.
Gerrymandering's like glory holing, except you push the stall of the toilet so far one way.
You manipulate them into a glory hole.
You remove the boundaries of the cubicles so that someone is shitting in the toilet and you take the separating wall away and then you're a gay guy looking different. So you suck off the guy. Anyway, so
gerrymandering.
Gerrymandering is the head of the IRA. No,
he has not had anything to do with it.
So in the 60s in Northern Ireland, the Catholics are dispossessed and gerrymandering housing and jobs. They can't get jobs. And they see what's happening in the US with Martin Luther King.
Right.
And they essentially start the civil rights, or civil-o rights, as I call it. This is the Northern Irish civil rights movement.
Well, I imagine Southern America, black Americans cannot understand this.
Yeah.
But you're white. You guys are all white. How the fuck are you?
Yeah.
How did you end up here?
Yeah, exactly.
What did you do?
How
the fuck
did you fuck up? Yeah, exactly.
You're the whitest motherfucker I've seen in my life.
And they're like, we were on the plantations as well. And we're like, what the fuck? What?
Honky on a plantation.
And then they're like, well, your music must be good. No.
No, it's pretty good. Go on, Irish Catholic. Yeah,
to be fair, I guess Protestant Irish music's real bad.
Yeah. No, Irish, because they weren't you get to be oppressed.
Yes, that's true.
The Cranberries, did you have to let it linger? Did you have to?
I don't know the Cranberries.
You know the Cranberries, right? You know the Cranberries. Did you have to? Did you have to? Did you have to let it linger?
You're right, it slaps. So... the start of the Troubles is 1969. The NICRA, the Northern Irish Civil Rights Activists, something that's founded. And there is where we'll leave the episode is in 1969 in Derry, which is a heavily Catholic city.
Or Londonderry, depending.
Well, at this point, yeah. I don't actually know when it becomes Londonderry in the vernacular, but let's say Derry for now.
Yeah.
And that's not me pinning my colours to a mast. I've deliberately worn the greyest suit possible to try and not, if you wear a hint of orange, you're immediately committing.
Yeah.
So in Derry, there is a big protest in, I think it's August 69, against the state that Catholics find themselves in.
Right.
The RUC, which is the Ulster Constabulary, which are mainly Protestants and they've a bit of crossover with loyalist stuff. They come in with batons and they basically start playing whack-a-mole with the Catholics.
How many fuckers are there?
There's so many fucking... But also this is known as the Battle of the Bogside, right? Because the Bogside... Now that's their words.
Bogside's anywhere in Ireland. To be honest. Well, you haven't exactly narrowed it down, have you, lads?
The Troubles could just be called the Battle of the Bogside. No, the Bogside is the heavily Catholic area of Derry because it's near a bog.
Well, there's so many bogs in Ireland, and if you go to Ireland, what preserves any of their like Tudor history, right, is anything found in a bog. Right, that's how anything is, because there's so much bogs.
Bog bodies is a thing.
Bog bodies, bog butter, I think is a thing. Look up bog butter. I'm pretty sure bog butter.
Bog butter. Again, that sounds like a slur. This guy's bog buttering. Have you heard of this guy who's going gerrymandering and bog buttering? What is bog butter?
Bog butter is an ancient waxy substance found buried in peat bogs, particularly in Ireland and Scotland. Bog butter. Is there not a more Irish? It's the two sides of being Irish. You have to take the butter with the bog. Do you know what I mean? There's the good and the bad with Irish. Yeah.
I can't believe it's not bog butter. So, as a little side note, a little teaser, I think we'll probably, do you know what we'll do is next episode we'll start with the Battle of the Bogside.
Yeah.
But this is Martin McGuinness's origin story.
Right.
The hard man.
So this is just for the credits. He comes in.
Yeah. He enters the scene. It's like the end of Rogue One when Darth Vader comes in. McGuinness is a young man in Derry for the Battle of the Bogside. So,
Bobby Sands is still shitting in the toilet, but that will change.
But at this point, this is for Martin Luther King. He's shitting himself. It's only when the stop clock is right twice a day in the 80s that he shits himself in prison, and he says it's for the Republican movement, that everyone's like, oh, I guess he meant that. Bobby Sands has IBS. And it's just trying to attach causes to make his shits mean something.
Yeah. A fucked bowel is right twice a day.
Anyway. So, guys, in our next episode, Vittorio Angeloni will be here, our first guest, and we're going to talk about the start of the Troubles.
Tell him about the Troubles.
We're going to tell him, and he'll be here to offer a British perspective on things. Now that episode is already on our Patreon.
Yeah.
I think Vittoria's going to stick around and we're going to do a Patreon bonus with him as well.
Brilliant.
So if you want to sign up, you get early access and it's ad free and everything.
Brilliant.
But either way, thanks very much for watching, listening, and we will see you next time.